Hey everyone, Meinke here from MLive&apos, joined by Justin Rogers. Dress rehearsal is tonight, Lions versus Jaguars on national TV. Big, epic showdown between the Lions and the Jaguars in the preseason.
Yeah, excited.
It is an important game, even if nothing's on the line. It is an important game for a lot of young players and players who are fighting for job battles, as is always the case in the preseason, but particularly true with this game with the first round of cuts looming on Tuesday. Who are you watching?
Has nothing to do with cuts, I'll tell you that much. I'm going to be focused on Lake and Tomlinson. Been behind Manny Ramirez most of camp. I think there's a reasonable reason for that, given the fact that Ramirez is a veteran with a lot of experience under his belt. But this is Tomlinson's job. He was drafted to be left guard, and Larry Warford's injury accelerated his opportunity to get a start at left guard in this third preseason game. Jaguars aren't the greatest defense in the world, but they do have some good linemen, some good defensive tackles. I think it'll be a good challenge for him to see how he responds. The team has already said they're confident if Tomlinson has to start from day one. I've always expected that's the way it was going to be.
I think we both did.
Yeah.
But we need to see it, and I'm curious about the just how ready he is, because they say he's ready, but they're always going to say he's ready. The fact of the matter is, up until the injury to Warford, he was repping with the twos. That could have been because he was the second best left guard. It could have been just a rookie treatment.
Yeah.
But so we don't really know. But there's no doubt in my mind that they've sped up their timeline to accommodate the injury to Larry Warford. And so how does Tomlinson respond to what's being asked of him now, which is significantly more than what was being asked of him before now? And I think at some point in the season, for sure, and I think week one even, the Lions want him to be the left guard. So it'll be interesting to see where he's at.
Yeah, he's had some shaky moments in the preseason, but I think Lions fans can take some solace that he hasn't had a Brandon Scherf moment where Tyron Walker ragdolled him.
Yeah,
so.
I had fun reading that. I wrote a story this week about Tyron Walker's bull rush, because we've seen so many good bull rushes from him in practice, and then of course the world saw him bull rush Brandon Scherf right into RG3. It was 6 steps. They were engaged and just pushed him back right into RG3. Great play.
I actually talked to Walker. I go, you talk on the field? He goes, oh yeah, I do some talking. I go, you say anything to Scherf? And he goes, nah. I didn't have to say anything. It's like, it's just appropriate. But.
Yeah, you're watching Tomlinson. My guy I'm watching, sticking with the offense, is Zach Zenner. And the battle between Zenner and Wynn is one of the most highly contested roster jobs, bubble jobs, whatever, going into the last 2 games. And that one's going down to the finish, because the Lions really like both guys. And I think with the fullback in play, they don't have room for both of them. So one guy who they like is going to get cut. It's going to be a hard choice for the Lions. Zenner and Wynn bring different things to the table, and I think Wynn opened this camp with the easy lead there because he had experience.
Sure.
He had been around last year. The Lions love his physicality and still do. He's great in pass pro. He's great on special teams. He was the 3rd best special teams player last year according to Pro Football Focus. And then this kid comes in from South Dakota State, and fans love Zach Zenner. He entered with that buzz, but he's matched the buzz with production in the preseason. He's the Lions' leading rusher. He led them in both rushing and receiving against Washington. On and on. We all know what we saw on the field. And I've been in the Wynn camp. I still thought Wynn would make the team over Zenner just because of what he can provide right away on special teams. But we have seen improvement from Zenner on special teams. And the more people we talk to around this building, people are impressed in this building by what Zach Zenner's doing in practice. And so my opinion is evolving a little bit, but he has to still produce, I think, in the games to unseat Wynn for that battle, and that'll be very interesting to watch going forward.
Yeah, I mean that train's pretty full at this point. I think there might be some tickets left in the caboose for you, Kyle. I mean I even got in late. I'm sitting in the middle of the train, but
I'm pretty limber. I can get up in the overhead compartments.
Yeah. No, I mean Kyle mentioned it. We've both heard from higher level people that it seems like Zenner's momentum is strong with this organization. I think he's trending toward a roster spot right now. Kyle's point is correct. I mean, he needs to continue to prove it. Nothing's guaranteed after just 2 preseason games. I think there are other players in those roster battles we're really intrigued to see. I'm going to be focused, I think, on Philip Hunt. I think he's got a very big opportunity. I don't expect Ansah to play. We know Jason Jones is out. Philip Hunt might be the guy out there with the starters this week. In fact, I would say I expect that. Had a really nice pass rushing performance against Washington last week. Really hammered RG3 on that shot, and I think he's a fringe guy. I think he could work his way under the roster. He's popular with his teammates already. He's got a pretty nice pass rush move. He's undersized. I mean, he's only about 250. He'd be their smallest defensive end. That's 20 pounds less than Darryl Tapp, but he's another guy like Zenner who has momentum trending in the right direction for him right now.
And like Zenner, I think opinion of him is favorable in the organization right now. Still needs to do stuff in the preseason games and be productive and show that he can rush the passer, which is what the Lions really need at this point. But yeah, he's in play for sure. Sticking with the defensive line, Jermel Cujo,
absolutely
a guy we've both watched quite a bit, and I mean, it's not just us. Everyone's watching this guy because he's really exploded in training camp. He's been a surprise guy. He was really off the radar when he signed here, but he's had a very good camp, and he's played himself into that discussion for, the Lions last year kept 4 defensive tackles. This year they've got Karan Reed, Tyron Walker, Gabe Wright, the rookie, and who am I missing?
I don't know. Haloti
Nada, that guy, the 5-time All-Pro. So that spot was secured, it seemed, but Cujo's played himself into the discussion to the point where the Lions could keep a 5th tackle, based on his production and based on how good he looks. But also, they have the injury to Reed now that he's dealing with. We don't know what his status is, if he's going to miss time in the regular season or what have you.
He's in a boot right now.
Right, I saw him in the facility today. He's still in that boot. So we'll see what happens on the injury front. But that also could come into play if you need to keep an extra defensive tackle. And if you do, he's the guy.
Do you think if he makes the roster, there's going to be a clause in there that if Andre Fluellen becomes available, the Lions have the right to terminate?
I think that's a standing clause in every contract. Yeah. When DeAndre Levy signed his when he signed his contract.
I mean, that's what Cujo would be. It would be in that Fluellen role, that 5th defensive tackle with some veteran experience that wouldn't play a whole lot but would have a rotational role in very specific situations. The receiver battle is still wide open. I have no idea anymore. I just don't know beyond the 4. Nobody's stood out. Nobody's captured the momentum in that battle. Not even in a negative way. I mean, everybody's just been kind of good.
Yeah.
And that, especially in the return game, like, there's nobody standing out. Somebody needs to snatch that job, or it's going to be Jeremy Ross's again.
Right. Yeah. No, I think T.J. Jones or Ryan Broyles or someone like that could have played himself onto the roster with a huge camp. They haven't necessarily done that, and so I think at this point, in my opinion, and I'm not getting information from anywhere, but I just think with my own eyes that Jeremy Ross is the status quo, and he's the 5th guy right now. I think just because he is still repping as the number 1 receiver. I don't think the number 1 return man. No one else has taken that job from him, and he's even at receiver, he's produced at least as much, if not more, than Broyles and T.J. Jones. He had a good game last week against Washington. I know you talked to him today, or you talked to him this week rather. He's on the bubble, but I think he's in a very good shape. I think for the 5th job.
Yeah, pretty boring interview with Mr. Ross, and maybe that was my questions. I don't know, but very very generic. He's answered the questions enough. He's locked in a competition. He knows what he needs to do. When it comes to the return game, somebody has to make a play to stand out, and nobody's made a play. He's had a couple okay returns, 26, 28, 29 yards on the kickoffs. Not much at all with punts. I asked him because last year I thought one of the weaknesses was too many fair catches. Led the NFL in fair catches by a mile, and that's not all on him. That's blocking, giving the Gunners the path to him. But I asked him if he was going to be more aggressive with just the concern that his job was on the line, and he said I can't make bad decisions to force plays. So he said, first and foremost, I'm going to continue to make what I think are the best decisions for the team. I guess that's the mindset you have. Some guys I think would push it and force it, and you could quickly play yourself off the roster.
Yeah, I think Ryan Broyles and T.J. Jones at this point are on the wrong side of the bubble at this very moment. And so obviously this game is very important with the first cuts looming on Tuesday, and the next week's game. Obviously, and then the cuts after that, the cuts down to 53. That's September 5. So not much time left to state their cases, and they just haven't done, I think, enough to this point to really separate from Ross in terms of receivers, and obviously Ross provides more than those guys on special teams.
And that could flip on its head in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it really could. One of those receivers could go out tonight, Friday night, and really stand out either as a return man or a pass catcher, and that could be the small amount that creates this margin that doesn't exist right now.
That's what we got for today. Lions versus Jaguars, national TV tonight. We'll be there. We'll be covering the game as well. So keep it right here at MLive for your coverage. He's Justin Rogers. I'm Kyle Meinke. We are MLive. Keep it right here.